Thank you, Nick, and welcome, Dror. We did the intro already, so glad to have you join us. I'm going to roll two of the questions into one. So we, obviously are talking about AI here, and there's a lot of talk right now about, AI has been out, obviously, but in the last year or so, Gen AI, and specifically ChatGPT, has taken on, a life of its own in many conversations around the country, around the world. I'm going to first ask you to talk a little bit about, the difference between AI and now this emergent Gen AI. And then after that, building off of what Nick was talking about, he talked a little bit about AI in the space right now that we're in. But, could you tell us a little bit about use cases and specifically how are we seeing the applications in the industry?
So first of all, good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to present today, and thank you for coming. If I'll take a little bit of a step back, I think AI and data has been around for years. There are studies since the 1950s, so it's not a new topic, and we've all heard about data and AI in ITC in many years in the past as well. But I think some things did change in the last couple of years that made it more of a kind of headline news and why everybody's talking about this even more. And I think what happened is in the last couple of years, a lot of the skills that you would expect machines to do got to the point where they're on par or better than what a human would do. So kind of understanding text and understanding images and so on and so forth, and we've all find ourselves playing with ChatGPT or Midjourney or DALL-E or any of these other tools that make it a little bit more human-like. So we feel like we understand this AI better than this being this black box of mathematics like it used to be for many years. And that, I think, made it a little bit more of top of mind for many of the boards and many of the management teams to say, okay, so this is now a thing that we need to be aware of, and it might change how we think about the world. So let's think about how it changes the business. And we see, if you look at the Gartner reports, Celent reports, and things like that, you'll see that companies are kind of trying to move from having, limited AI in production to having tons of AI in production by the end of the year. And that's not really what we see in the market. We see that the companies are more interested in AI, but it's not necessarily that they go and implement more AI than they should have, because now it gets to the question of what does this AI do for us and how does it help the business in a way that is meaningful. So we'll talk in a second more about use cases, but I think a few things to consider from that perspective. First, we're in an industry that deals a lot with numbers and not just text. And all of these kind of new tools are not necessarily numbers generated. They are generating text and images, which is great for marketing stuff and some of this other collateral, not necessarily as valuable for everything that is numerical, such as understanding the policyholder, specifically in life and annuity, where there's a lot to understand and unpack from a financial perspective and understanding the numbers and the calculations and so on and so forth. That's one thing. The second thing is all the kind of very boring behind the scenes, traditional privacy, security, data, where it sits, what it does, et cetera, et cetera. I spoke with Nick earlier today, and Nick said, he doesn't have ChatGPT on his phone because of privacy concern and security concerns and how it's being used and so on and so forth. So we can talk a little bit more about that too. But I think if you want the machine to learn from your data, you need to upload your data somewhere. And now let's think where this somewhere is. And now you start seeing this move from, hey, this is a generic platform, to maybe there is going to be platforms that are industry specific that allow you to have all the bells and whistles of the privacy, security, understanding of the domain, life and annuity, and so on and so forth.